Here's to the finest crew in Starfleet.
When it comes to my crew, you won't get any argument from me.
This is a parody. Paramount owns the song.
Welcome to The Greatest Generation. It's a Star Trek podcast by a couple of guys a little bit embarrassed to have a Star Trek podcast. I'm Adam Pranica.
I'm Ben Harrison.
There are some squares on the Game of Buttholes game board we have never hit. Some squares we've hit multiple times. And for some reason, we have gone months and months and months without ever having hit the Naomi Wildman square. And now I think we're in the span of a handful of episodes, we've hit it twice.
The Fates have artistic aspirations for us, my friend.
I thought after the first one, they would... they'd suspend all hope.
Right, yeah, the Fates would be like, okay, well, these guys don't have it, so...
The Fates were like, good to know. Okay.
It happened again. For those who are new to the show, we randomize our podcast a little bit, and we have a board game we play at the end of the episode that determines how the next episode will go.
Very few people listen to the end, so I think it's smart and important work by you, Ben, to introduce what we're doing here.
We look at the stats, and we can see that drop-off that happens 30 to 45 seconds in when people realize what it is they've downloaded.
It's crazy. Once we learned about the fall-off, we started saying the most fucked up shit at the end. And guess what? We get away with it.
Like, nobody even at Maximum Fun listens after the Maximum Fun stinger, so we fucking go off back there.
The network doesn't know anything that we're doing over here, and haven't for a long time.
But so the Naomi Wildman Square is a directive that the co-hosts must each create a piece of artwork inspired by the episode we watched, and then we have to share it and post images of that artwork on the internet. So that is what we're going to do today in the show open. And I wonder if you'd like to go first, or do you want to go second? How do you want to do the order of this?
Well, Ben, after watching the episode, I thought about all the different sorts of art projects would be available to me. Last time I built a model.
Yeah, you worked in 3 dimensions. That was cool.
I didn't really want to do that a second time because it was so good, you know? Like,
Right.
I'm ready to lay down my cyanoacrylate adhesive and consider my work done in that area.
You ate and left no crumbs. You have nothing left to prove in your model making skills department. Very
Interesting choice of words you just used there, Ben, because when I saw how much Padma Lakshmi screen time there was in this episode, I thought fondly of my time watching her hit show Top Chef, a show that I enjoyed for many years, not every year, but I would say for maybe like 10 years. That show was on for like 20 years, right?
I think it may still be on and she's just not anymore. But yeah, that is a juggernaut.
That show legit helped me get to know and appreciate cookery at the highest level. It popularized like celebrity chef culture in a way that I think you could argue is good and bad, but it helped me get a better sense of like what was possible out there. Like I learned about the Voltaggio brothers from that show, which are like 2 really fairly famous chefs who I followed like ever since those episodes. Chefs whose restaurants I went to specifically because of the Top Chef experience that I had watching that show. So I'm watching this episode and I'm seeing Padma and I'm thinking about food and I'm like, what is food if not a form of art?
Wow.
I know. And I'm looking around at my larder. I'm looking around at my ingredients and I'm like, what is something that could express both my interest in cooking at the highest level and also where we are in the calendar year? Because I don't want to just cook something to cook it. I want to cook something special and maybe even something I can give to my friends. So here's what I did.
Okay.
I went to a grocery store, a premium grocery store, and I went to the bulk nuts aisle.
Okay.
And I got 2 cups of walnuts, 2 cups of almonds, 2 cups of pecans, 2 cups of cashews, 2 cups of macadamia nuts, all roasted, not salted. And I brought them home. And I did with them something I haven't done for many years, which is I made my holiday spiced nuts. I melted down a bunch of brown sugar. I added some clove and some cinnamon and some nutmeg.
Okay.
And I made a nice syrup, and I coated them.
Yeah.
And I made 2 entire punch bowls of my holiday spiced nuts, Ben.
Wow. Look at those.
Here's a picture for you, and also...
Not to import a term from another cooking celebrity, Ming Tsai, but those look GB&D. Golden brown and delicious.
I went to a local craft store, and I got a bunch of jars with wooden lids. And here's what I did, Ben. I put a bunch of these nuts into these jars with lids. This one's for you.
Oh,
as a gift from me.
That's delightful. Those are very festive.
I know, yeah. So my art project is food, and I also created a gift for you and a bunch of friends. So
That's tremendous.
that is what I did. Thanks to Padma's inspiration as a food celebrity.
I love it. I'm delighted to be on the receiving end of your art project.
I usually make these with candied bacon, but I know in your household that would be a no-go, so I did not do candied bacon this year.
I mean, I appreciate that as much because then I would just eat all of them and it would go straight to my hips. But yeah, that's very kind of you. I also worked with something sticky today, Adam. I had a mind to do a shoebox. What do you call that?
Talking about a diorama.
A diorama, that's the word I'm looking for, last time when we rolled the Naomi Wildman square, but I kind of chickened out. What I started sketching to lay out the idea for the diorama in my mind just kind of became my art project. I made a drawing last time.
Did you really want to buy a new pair of shoes? I imagine that could be part of the obstacle too, right? Just for the box? Is that what you would do?
That was part of the challenge, was that a Nike shoebox had not availed itself of me. And I went and looked around, and I actually found one in my closet, but it had a pair of my wife's shoes in it. And I wasn't going to she had put them away in that way, and I wasn't going to pilfer her shoebox to do my stupid Star Trek podcast.
Yeah, you don't want to inflict that kind of rage upon yourself.
No.
One does not simply go into a wife's closet.
Yeah, I would need Gimli's axe and Aragorn's bow or whatever to defend me in a Ben fucked with the shoes situation.
Yeah.
But I got lucky, and recently we've been kind of clearing stuff out to get ready for Daron's little sibling that's coming. And that shoebox was in the go out to the recycle bin pile. So I set it aside in case, and providence shone on this decision because we rolled a Naomi Wildman square not long after I discovered this shoebox. So, and in the grand tradition of drug dealers everywhere, the value I bring is kept in a Nike shoebox. This is my diorama.
Ben, you've got the bottom part of a shoebox. You've turned it over onto its side, and now what I'm looking at is a trip tucker standing over a cryo chamber. There's Padma inside, underneath what looks like a little clear plastic window.
Yeah,
and all around you see the set dressing from that location. We've got the netting of a seafood chain restaurant holding up a bunch of props on either side. You've got ship damage as we come to see it later on.
Sure, yeah.
Really great. And what I love most of all, hold it up even closer to the camera, Ben. Trip Tucker has nipples on his arms.
Yeah. Had to honor the fact that Trip Tucker has arm nipples.
You're never gonna let that go, are you? You're
really good at drawing cartoon faces.
I feel like I got closer on Trip than I did on Padma, and I think that there's something about drawing somebody's face in profile that makes it really hard to capture their essence. And I went around in the episode and paused on several shots of Padma in profile, but almost always she was like moving, so there was some motion blur on the shot. And I'm not as happy with her likeness as I am with his.
I think it totally works, especially, inside the pod, eyes closed.
Yeah.
I think you're good.
And I also wanted to honor the pushing the frost away from the glass moment in this episode that makes it a canonical cryo chamber episode. Yeah, and I was like, man, should I go buy the stuff that people spray in store windows to make it look like it snowed at the barbershop or whatever?
The flocking, yeah.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure if that would stick to the plastic, and I didn't want to risk owning a can of that shit if it wasn't for sure gonna work.
God, that's inspiring. I want to go get some of that stuff. I love it.
You should, yeah. I mean, it's probably perfectly good to breathe that stuff in while you're applying it. So that's my little diorama. I had so much fun making this, but I had drawn all the components and kind of planned the layers out, and then I realized, oh fuck, the only kind of glue I have is Gorilla Glue epoxy or wood glue. And I was like, wood glue would probably work, but I'm not 100% confident in it. So I raced to the art materials store in Pasadena near my house. And
just a great time of year to do that kind of run, by the way, as someone who recently made that trip themselves.
Yeah.
I would argue November and December, absolutely do not go to a craft store unless you're ready for what that's going to be like.
I hope that the people working at the art supply store are getting hazard pay because, man, there were so many Pasadena moms that were yelling at them that their sticker stock wasn't detailed enough. What? Just leave these people alone. They don't order the stickers.
If you ever in the wild, and this isn't for you, Ben, because I know you would do this. If you're in the wild and you see a retail employee being accosted by a dipshit with a bad opinion, I think it's your duty to not only please that booty, but get in the way of that to run interference, because so often an employee is not empowered to defend themselves in a way that they really should from that bullshit.
You can say something like, did you know that they give stickers out to children at Trader Joe's? And it's just down the street.
I was at a Costco one time and I saw some dipshit get into it with a front-end supervisor going these lines are too long. I own stock in this company. And I heard this, I walked by and I stopped and I was like, who gives a shit? I own stock in this company too, and I'm not being a jackass to a supervisor. Get a life.
Get a life. Well, I really love your art project, Adam, and I want to see if you love this episode.
You're going to be eating my art project. I'm not going to be eating yours. Actually, I'll probably eat a little bit of yours.
Only eat until you're full. Put it that way.
You know what? If you used construction adhesive on that, eating it would have been pretty life-threatening. Would have been a great deal for you, I think, in the end.
Yeah. Mixing up some adhesive out of a two-stage process for the purposes of poisoning my co-host, had occurred to me, but I kind of decided to take the project in a different direction.
You Agent Smith me. How are you going to do the podcast if you cannot speak? All right, Ben, that's enough Naomi Wildman. Let's get into the episode today. It is Enterprise Season 2, Episode 11, Precious Cargo.
You're the captain, sir. You're entitled.
Not entitled to ramble on about something everyone knows.
Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the